Welcome back. Now, on our first conversation this morning, we're talking about power failure. Now, we live in a country, Nigeria, where the power sector has experienced significant challenges from increasing frequency to great failures to high tariff to no electricity. Some people pulling out, the federal government suddenly saying, "Oh, we're not longer part of the grid." These are the challenges that we faced in Nigeria when it comes to the power sector. Now, recently, the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, has taken a strong stance, that there will be no bailout for any electricity company in Nigeria. Everybody has to put heads together. Nobody is running independently. Nobody say, "Oh, I am not working for the federal government. Oh, I'm working for this particular group of people." It has to be a joint effort to restore the energy in the power sector in Nigeria. Now we're discussing this morning with Professor Ogugwa Egu. He is the chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress, Ebonyi State. He's joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right. So,
good morning.
First
off, you can hear me.
For a layman who has lived in a community where at a certain point, he did not have lights, he was not enjoying electricity, and then suddenly he moves into an era where, okay, it looks like things are looking up. I now have electricity. So the current situation where some days you go without light, some days you see 2-3 hours in a day, and then you're wondering what exactly is going on. You're hearing grids falling, you're hearing hike in tariff plan. Help us understand, why does this happen? Is it just based on the TCN, the electricity company, or is it the fault of some organization handling the power sector?
Thank you very much. Yes, correspondent. You see, the concept of power problem in Nigeria is hydra-headed. When I say hydra-headed, it is as a result of numerous factors.
Okay.
Factors that we can say they are intrinsic, and factors that we can say are extrinsic to the power sector. Now, of course, we know that the GENCOs, the generating companies, have demanded a 6 trillion naira bailout from taxpayers' money, from government. And they claim that this bailout is as a result of accumulated, what they call legacy debts. Legacy debts that have accumulated over the past years. And in fact, they claim that they are being owed 65% of what they generate every month. And that means they are paid 35%, which is about 80 billion naira. And so government of Nigeria owed them 200 billion every month. And if you calculate 200 million by the number of months that are being owed, that is what has amounted to the over 6 trillion naira that they are demanding as bailout. And I keep asking myself, does it mean that these companies have never made gains? Since privatization in 2013, that is over 13 years or about thereabout, does it mean these companies have never made profits from generation of power in Nigeria? Our Congress is asking, what have they been doing with the profits they have made? Nigerians have not significantly seen an improvement in the power sector. In fact, in the last 3 years, since 2023, the national grid has collapsed 19 times, 12 times in 2024. And in 2026, where we find ourselves, generation has come so low that at some point we battled between 0 and 24 megawatts. Right now, it's about 2,900 megawatts, far below the maximum production that we've had in recent time, which is about 4,000 thereabouts. These GENCOs keep packing up, power generation companies, no support. And you find out that the problem is truly hydra-headed. If you come down to the ordinary people, the distribution companies are not better off. The distribution companies keep fluctuating tariffs. Tariffs keep increasing from this. In fact, there was a time that it jumped to about 300%, was a 300% increase. And this thing ordinarily rests on the everyday people of Nigeria. And we ask ourselves, does it mean we can never get it right as a country? Now, it is obvious that the global energy crisis, that of course, that is as a result of the dispute between America, Israel, and then Iran, has exposed the vulnerability of our energy sector. It has exposed the incapacitation, the incapacitated nature of our energy sector. It has exposed that we do not have shock absorber. And if this crisis continue, Nigeria is going to be on the precipice of terrible things because people will lose faith in the system. People will lose faith in our country. And that is why the government of today should make a conscious effort to cushion the effect of this global energy crisis. What do I mean? Countries in Europe have started doing something. But Brazil released about 300 million euros to cushion the effect of this global energy crisis. Countries like Italy, Belgium, Finland, yes, you may say that these countries have very good economies. But Nigeria is a country that is dominated by people living in extreme poverty.
Okay,
Our
Professor.
middle class, yes, yes.
Yeah, what I asked, or what I'm trying to understand it. I mean, you've said a number of things, quite a number of things. Now, the issue of, which is the first question I asked earlier, for a layman, for someone who may not understand the logics of things, is it safe to say that the reason why the power sector is epileptic in Nigeria is because 13 years ago, the situation or the community when it comes to power deliverance was handed to private sectors? Or is it that even with the private sectors, the organization that are in charge of power generation and distribution in Nigeria have, had a way to limit the rations people get when it comes to power? Because what I'm asking is, if a private sector comes to say, oh, this is not the agreement we had. We have a particular agreement for you to be giving us a certain percentage from whatever is generated. And they are coming years later to demand a certain amount. It's just safe to say that either they are being greedy or some persons, we are cheating them out of their earnings and their gains. So who is to blame when it comes to lack of power in Nigeria?
You see, when maybe you didn't get me right. When I started, I said that this can be described as intrinsic within the power sector and extrinsic outside the power sector. The intrinsic problems are caused by the key players within the power sector. The owners of the generating companies, the owners of the transmission companies, and even the owners of the distribution companies. Because they work hand in hand in Nigeria. And so it is their fault. There is no conscious effort. There is no intentional effort to be effective and efficient in the distribution of power, in the generation of power, in the transmission of power. It is intrinsic within the power sector. That is one. Two, the extrinsic part is that governments who ordinarily should live to their own end of any bond, any agreement, has failed. Now, if you listen to the chief executive officer of Association of Generation Companies recently, I've forgotten the name, one Joy Ogaji, on the 19th of February, she said that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria met with them in July and assured them that 4 trillion naira will be released to take care of the accumulated debt over the years up to the end of 2024. But as we speak to you today, that amount has not gotten to the Gencos. What does that mean? It means that extrinsic factors outside the key power players have also contributed massively to the epileptic power supply. And that simply means that those with the Gencos are not completely efficient, they are not effective, the transmission companies are not effective, the distribution companies are effective. There is no level of efficiency within the power sector. And that is why the Nigerian Labour Congress had proposed that there should be a merger between the Petroleum Ministry and the Power Ministry. And if there's a merger, there will be a fuller understanding of the complementarity of the products of the petroleum industry and the generation of power. This merger should be called the Ministry of Energy or the Energy Ministry. Now, today, between January and March, we know that Nigeria has very low water levels. These low water levels cannot effectively power our hydro turbines. That is one. What are the alternatives? There are no alternatives. The alternatives are not there. Why? Because the gas industry is not effective in generating power in Nigeria. How many gas turbines are functional in Nigeria? Of course, you know that the current global energy crisis has further impeded the performance of the gas industries. Why? Because a great percentage of gas being imported into Nigeria does not come. And so even the ones we generate, we are more interested in exporting them than in using them to solve our power problems. And so you find out that there is a great percentage of extrinsic factors and a great percentage of intrinsic. Intrinsic factors are caused by key players within the power industry who are capitalists, who believe in making more money, who believe in ensuring that their capitalist cartel remains functional and, of course, afloat financially and economically. And then the extrinsic factors who are interested in the extrinsic contribution to the power sector. And that is why it appears the power sector in Nigeria has remained in coma very long time. In fact, it has gotten so worse that Nigerians are beginning to confess that they have never had this so bad. Why is it that bad? Because of the skyrocketed price of the premium motor spirit, the PMS. People who ordinarily can afford POS, little volumes of PMS to power their generators, to survive and to stay afloat as ordinary Nigerians can no longer afford the PMS. And so the impact is more on the ordinary people. And this is a wake-up call for our politicians. This is a wake-up call for our leaders. This is a wake-up call for those who are in the ruling class. That, in fact, this hardship should be an avenue for them to show the love they claim to have for ordinary Nigerians. This hardship should be an opportunity for them to transmit the love they have for Nigerians. It's unfortunate that a lot of countries are doing things that will cushion the effect of this power or this energy crisis. Nigeria has not done anything. Nigeria has not even thought about it. Nigeria has not even brought it up to be at the center of national discourse. Why? It appears there's a disconnect between the ordinary people, the ordinary Nigerians, and the ruling class. And I hope that as they do their politics, nobody stops them from doing their politics. Let them be reawakened of the fact that they should, matter of urgency anyway, bring in policies, initiate policies that will cushion the effect of this global energy crisis. And that the other factor is the issue of bailout. The Nigerian Labour Congress resists this issue of bailout. You cannot tell me that from 2013 to 2025, you accumulated 6.5 trillion or thereabouts. Meanwhile, between as at 2020, it wasn't even up to 1 billion. So how did this skyrocket so much? And so we feel that there should be a conscious effort made by government to audit those the legacy debts that they claim we owe them by the entirety of Nigerians. Because this 6.5 trillion naira will come from the taxpayers' money. And the taxpayers themselves are not finding it funny in their survival mode in Nigeria. So we reject it and we call for a comprehensive audit of this legacy debt that they are claiming that should be a bailout for them. And then it has also exposed, the global crisis have also exposed us that indeed, that Dangote refinery may not have had the capacity to sustain Nigeria. That is the truth. If Dangote refinery had the capacity to sustain Nigeria in less than 3-4 days when the Iran-America dispute started, this would have still been buying, fuel at the normal 790, 800, per liter cost. But it didn't take up to 3 days or 4 days, and the prices skyrocketed. That means we do not have a shock absorber. And it's also a wake-up call for Nigeria as a government, as a people, to ensure that our refineries start to function. Now, they claim that the already existing refineries that Warri, Port Harcourt, Eleme, and Kaduna have gone beyond repair because they have tried so many times to repair those refineries, and only God knows what came out of it. Let us encourage modular refineries. Let us encourage modular refineries. There are a lot of young men, entrepreneurs, who are willing to invest in this refinery business. And the more the merrier. If this is approved in Nigeria, I believe that it will decentralize and demonopolize this issue of where PMS coming from one source. And the most important thing also is ensuring proper standardization of quality of these modular refineries. It will help Nigeria as a country. It will help Nigeria in PMS, it will help Nigeria in AGO, it will help Nigeria in DPK, it will also help Nigeria in even gas generation. There will always be a way to manage this. And we see this as an opportunity that the fragility of our economy, or the fragility of our energy sector is obvious. It has become obvious. And let our country, let our leaders significantly make an impact. There should be an intentional, a conscious effort to make these sectors work. One, like NLC, we have always proposed, let there be synergy between the petroleum and the power sector. And that synergy will be maximally achieved if they are merged and an energy ministry formed. Two, let there be a comprehensive audit of the Genco's claims of legacy debts. And this audit will open our eyes as a nation to see whether indeed that the distribution or the generation of 280 billion naira worth of power is indeed what they are giving us and what Nigerians are receiving. Because I try to match 280 billion naira worth of what we have. It's actually embarrassing if you pay
Professor,
225 naira per kilowatt.
Because of time, I have a couple of more things to clarify on. Now, you've said a lot of things, of course, about how the NLC is pushing for the no bailout. How to minimize or find a way to re-strategize, which is what we need at a time as this. Now, speaking about the Iran-US-Israel war and how this affects us and our economy, as the NLC is fighting for the power, what are they doing when it comes to this hike in price in fuel? How are they urging the government to intervene to find solutions? Because it's not just to leave. If the NLC is actively fighting for the interest, fighting the interest of the common Nigerian, and of course we can see what they're doing with the energy sector. What are they doing when it comes to this price hike that keeps fluctuating every single day? And secondly, this request or this call for no bailout, does it have anything to do with the increase in salary that the NFC demanded for?
Thank you very much. You see, they are all interconnected. First of all, you need to understand that a sensible and sensitive government does not wait for trade unions to make noise before they listen and understand the plight of the citizens that they are, ruling, so to speak.
Governing.
A sensitive government does not need a protest to understand that they should introduce policies that will cushion the effect of these skyrocketing prices. Of course, prices in just not just power, not just PMS, not just energy. It has multiplied into every aspect of Nigerian people, Nigerian economy. And so, if you say that we must go on strike or we should go on protest, our government is not sensitive because they should have done the needful when this matter started. Then, secondly, it is not unconnected to our cry. Of course, the Joint National Negotiating Council has, proposed a minimum wage increase of 154,000 naira or thereabout. And this is not rocket science. It's not an impossibility. It only takes a willing government to call them to the negotiating table and arrive at something that will favor Nigerians and will not disfavor the ruling class. That is that is the way it should go. Because the truth is that there's a difference between ability and willingness. Nigeria as a nation has the ability to treat workers well. Nigeria as a nation has the ability to even pay a minimum wage of over 250,000 naira to Nigerian workers. But the truth is that how willing are they? What are their priorities? NLC, of course, has initiated process of talking with agents of government on how to introduce policies that will mitigate this trend of skyrocketing prices of everything, not just energy requirements of households. Skyrocketing price. Now, in some countries that have responsive and sensitive governments, sorry to use that word, but that's the truth. They have already done that. They didn't wait for trade unions to react. I said earlier that Brazil pumped over 300 million euros into the economy to cushion the effect of low income earners. Finland, Belgium, UK. Some people have cut tax. Some people have removed VAT. Some countries have removed VAT. Some have cut other taxes. Some have even increased their contribution to household utilities of their citizens, especially low-income earners. Why are Nigerian leaders too far away from the people? Why are they far away from the people? Yes, I know this is the time for them to do politics. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to all of them, all levels of government, from the federal to the state to the local government, that this is the time for them to campaign well if they want to come back next year. This is the time for them to tell Nigerians that indeed that we love you and we feel your pain and look at what should be done.
I think, Professor, can you hear me? Right. I think he's being cut
I
off
can hear
by
you,
the
my dear.
network.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. Because of our time, we might have to end our conversation here. Of course, I had a couple of more questions to ask, but of course, because of time. So thank you so much for joining this morning. Do have yourself a wonderful day. All right, this is still New Day. We took a short break. We'll be right back.
Bright and early as the day breaks, as the newspaper headlines trail the stories that shape the day. We at Signature TV trail the headlines that trail the day. We interrogate the headlines. We analyze the stories that make the headlines.
WAEC is overrated, and they even overrated themselves, and when you go see it, they are insensitive of some Nigerian children who have never had what they call CBT.
With passion and emotion, we drive the conversation to change the narrative.
Let nobody be deceived by Nigerian high level of performing in agriculture export. We are still where we are.
Newspaper review on Signature TV every morning on Signature Morning weekdays and Signature New Day weekends. Newspaper review on Signature TV. We do not just review the headlines, we make the headlines relevant to our daily lives. New every morning on Signature TV. We open the day for you with needed energy, information, and required vibes to shape your day. From sizzling snippets of stories in various areas of life to intriguing conversations with net worth guests.
When you have people who have no track record becoming your leaders, you have a problem. There's no outstanding gratuity when Obi took over from me. I left in all the accounts of Anambra State 13.8 billion for him.
Your day cannot be complete without Signature Morning on weekdays and Signature New Day on weekends.